Hello. Happy Thursday, y'all. And welcome to Bankroll, your Brilliance Thursdays. I'm Nicole Jones, your Bankroll, your Brilliance expert. Always excited, happy, blessed to be here with you every single week to talk to you from one of three areas. One, what is your brilliance, your purpose, the one thing God created you to do in this world? The second area is the value tied to it. And the third is how do you create multiple streams of income from it? So as you come in, number one, see all kind of stuff around my mouth. Tell me name and where you're from. Come on in. As our guest for this week, she's getting ready to pour into you. If she shares anything that resonates with you, we want to know. If it's good, if she's stepping on your toes, give her some fire emojis. If it's good and it's inspiring you and giving you value, give her some hearts. But ultimately, if you have questions, we want you to post them live and I'll ask them live while she's here. Now, let me ask you for an additional favor. Now, those of you that come here week after week, we've been having technical issues, audio issues. I've been working with StreamYard and the whole back end team, and we cannot figure out what it is. So those of you that are here that are audio experts, please feel free to post what other suggestions you might have to fix our audio. I'm hoping that when I bring her in, that her audio is good. So again, come on in, tell me name, tell me where you're joining from. And as my grandmother would say, don't come in this house and I speak. Well, this is my virtual house for today. So come on in and at least say hello as we pour into you. So our conversation for today is powerfully leveraging life insurance to leave a legacy. And I bet some of you are thinking, life insurance? And why do I need life insurance? And So this guest has the expertise that's going to show you how to make your money work for you. And her name is Chereace Richards. Now, Chereace specializes in educating and empowering people how they can powerfully leverage life insurance to protect income, eliminate debt, create a tax-free retirement stream of income, and create generational wealth. That's enough that'd be enough for me to say that, right? Her goal is to help individuals and families create diversified financial portfolios for financial freedom. Now, on top of that, she's also the author of Faith Focused Action, The Journey to Becoming Who You Are. She holds a bachelor's degree in computer science from Bowie State and a master's degree in information technology. But here's the thing that I'm most excited about is that she has earned membership in the $1 Million Roundtable Association for Financial Professionals. So y'all, help me welcome Chereace. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Excited to have you here. And again, those of you that are here, as you have questions, thoughts, comments, we want to hear from you as we go in live. So, first tell us, how did you get into this whole financial services business?
I know people are first of all, thank you for allowing me to be your platform today. I am super excited to be here and to share with your audience about this topic of powerfully leveraging life insurance. And I know people are thinking, she said she had a bachelor's degree in computer science and she has a master's degree in IT management. How do we get here? Like, make it all make sense. Right? And so, yes, I did graduate with those degrees, and I spent a career in information technology for private industry as well as in the federal government. And so in 2006, my husband and I were introduced to this world of entrepreneurship and direct sales and decided to take a leap of faith. After 2 years of being very successful in direct sales, we walked away from our full-time job. So that good old government job that I had, making over $100,000 a year in 2008, I walked away from it. And so several years in building our business, we were blessed to make millions of dollars, be top earners in the company. And I started to think about, we're making all of this money, but I want to be able to keep it. Like, if all of this goes away, I wanted to have something to show for it. We hear all the time in our celebrity world of people who make a lot of money and they lose a lot of money with athletes and celebrities, you name it. And so I became very intentional of seeking out ways to not just diversify our income, but to be able to protect our income, to shelter our income, and to have it to work as hard for us as we worked for it. And through our CPA, we got introduced to a financial advisor that shared with us the power of life insurance and how we can leverage life insurance to protect our assets, to grow our money. And it was how wealthy people were protecting their money, to how they were, sheltering their money. And it was a new concept for us. And this was about 10 years ago. And Nicole, it changed everything for me, because not only were we blessed to be in a position to get the information and then leverage it for ourselves, but initially I was like, these are conversations that we need to be having in our community. Our people don't know. I didn't know. That means that I wasn't having these conversations with my friends and family members in my circle. So for years, I would get my financial advisor to come talk to the team, come talk to my family members, come talk to everybody that I introduced you to, when he did. And then about 5 years ago, I said, hold on, because it was something that I was very passionate about, because I saw a need in our community. Let me get licensed to be able to have these conversations with people who look like me. And so that's how I ended up here.
So good. I realize I have to put myself on mute so that you don't echo. So that's so good. Now, the thing I love, and by the way, if you guys see me looking down, that means I'm writing a note for myself. Okay. So don't think I'm being distracted. I'm not. I'm writing a note for myself. So protecting their money, I think that's so good. So can you tell us just more in terms of, and I think so many people don't realize that money needs to be protected, that there are things that we can do with our money that we don't even fathom. And then when we think about it, we sure don't think about life insurance. So tell us why life insurance, and more if you can, without, and by the way, she's going to give you guys a free gift. So those of you that need more, don't worry, it's coming. Tell us, why this whole life insurance piece to protecting our money is so important.
Yeah. Now, first of all, let's talk about the importance of life insurance, because people have so many misconceptions about, life insurance and what it does, and what it's for. And what I found is, in having these conversations, is that so many people in our community are either uninsured or underinsured, right? And so that's the first problem that we have to address, is making sure you have enough. And there's calculators, there's formulas, there's best practices to do that. But let's talk about protecting your income, because beyond just a death benefit, people don't recognize the power of life insurance to store money, to build up cash, to create your own bank within inside of the policy, so that you can be leveraging that money for whatever purposes that you want. I said a lot. You got to get with me to get the details on it, but it's how wealthy people protect their money. Because here's the thing. We all know we need to pay taxes, right? A couple of things. We all need to pay taxes, but what are some legitimate ways to reduce the amount of taxes that we're paying? That's the first thing. The other thing that life insurance can be powerfully beneficial for is, paying off debt. I know a lot of people, student loans, consumer debt, homes, you name it, right? They have the goals to pay off debt. And for so many people, they listen to the Susie Ormans of the world, Dave Ramsey. And while the goal and intent is to eliminate the debt, I believe that we wholeheartedly need to do that. But how can we powerfully leverage life insurance to eliminate the debt while at the same time building your wealth, right? And so what I do is just educate and empower people on how to make good financial decisions, because the goal is the same. We want to get to things like, protecting our income and eliminating the debt, just to name a few. But my thing is, when I'm having conversations with people, what is the best route? What is the best strategy to get to that end for you and your family?
So good. Yeah, I'm taking all kind of notes over here, y'all. The thing that just resonated with me the most is creating your own bank. And I think so many of us, and we say us, we talking about black folk, y'all, because this is Black Doctor. So come on now, right? And don't be shy if you have questions. There's a lot of you guys here, only two have said anything, and it's a whole handful of y'all. Well, more than a handful, probably two handfuls here. So I want to make sure you get what you need. So ask the question. But creating your own bank, which to me is really about making your money work for you. And we sure do not think about life insurance doing that. And I'm glad you said that most people think about life insurance like storing money for after your life is over. And it's so much more than that. So if you had to give us like the categories of things that we should know that life insurance can do, and she said some of them, but I want her to list it out. And the reason I want her to do this is because many of you guys are either watching this and thinking, this is not for me, but I'm going to listen. Or there are people in your circle that need to know this. So number one, there's a share button somewhere here. Those of you that are live, share it. And she drops some nuggets to let you guys know all the ways you've been sleeping on life insurance.
That's it, because the concepts that I teach people have been going way back to the Rockefeller days. There's a book out, everyone, called What Would the Rockefellers Do? And it talks about how they leveraged life insurance to protect their wealth so that it can be passed on from one generation to the next. And that's why here we are hundreds of years later, and that wealth is still in place, right? And it started with cash value life insurance. And so what I share with people is, moving beyond just life insurance on the job. Let's start there. That ain't enough. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not this. And so when I talk to people who's like, well, I'm good, because you mentioned it earlier, Nicole, people could be thinking, because when they hear life insurance, like, oh, I'm good, I got life insurance on my job. That's not this. And it's not enough, right? Because when I share with people how to properly design a life insurance policy where it is a significant part of your overall financial portfolio. And I said that slowly because I want you all to get it. When you are designing your financial portfolio, you want to make sure that all your eggs are not in one basket. And that's what I see with so many, right? They're like, okay, I check, I got my term life insurance, I got enough to bury me. Isn't that what our people talk about, right? I got enough to bury me. And so I'm good there. And then number two, they're like, okay, well, I'm maximizing my 401k plan. So I'm good for retirement. Let's stop there. Okay. No, that's not. Here's the thing. We cannot have all of our eggs in one basket. It requires diversification, because part of me educating people on how to integrate life insurance into the plan, your diversified financial portfolio or your plan, is really considering, where do I have money sitting right today? What are my goals in the short term as well as the long term? Because life insurance can be properly designed, right, to fit your short term goals. If you have debt that you want to pay off, I design programs and plans for people to eliminate debt in 9 years or less without paying any additional money that they're spending today. And that's leveraging cash value life insurance, right? I show people how to properly design a life insurance plan where they can save money for their children's education, for their educational needs, right? It's what I did for my sons. I know a lot of people that have young children, they're like, I got my 529. And I started to look, well, I was looking at a 529 until I looked at life insurance as an alternative. Why? Because I don't like my money having one purpose. A 529 is for education. And my kids were younger. They were still in elementary school when I was looking at it. And I'm like, the goal is to provide education for our children. What is the best way to get to the goal? So for me, a 529 compared to the options that I would have with a cash value life insurance for my sons, a couple of benefits. Number one, the money is not just for education. For education, what if they get scholarships though? What if they decide they didn't want to go to college? right? Then the money, if it's used for any other purpose besides education, is going to be taxed. We want to minimize taxes, people.
Right. Oh, this is getting good. Look, we got two comments, and she still has more information to share, but I want to stop here because I want to address this. So I love that Sherry said, I see too many people creating GoFundMe accounts or begging for funds for burial expenses. And here's the thing I want you to get, Sherry. This conversation, yes, is about that, but it's about so much more than that. That's like probably what 2% of how we spend our life is in how we're going to transition and be celebrated. What about the other 98% that you can learn how to make your money work for you? Right, Chereace?
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Listen, I buried my father in 2014, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all. My father didn't have any money saved. Not for that, but luckily he had a savings account. But what I am gonna say to you is you have no idea how much stuff costs until you start to break it down. But this is not just about that. So I want you to get you need it for this and that. It's not one without the other. You need it for both. So thank you for saying that, Sherry. The other thing Lisa just shared is my life insurance policy is for my only adult child of $285,000. And I want y'all to get this. I'm gonna say it. Look at Stan is here. Hey, Stan. So I want to say this. I want you to really get this. She's not talking about just the insurance you have at your job. And I'm gonna let Chereace pour into that. Go ahead, Chereace.
Yeah, so a couple things. Sherry, you're right. Life insurance, GoFundMe is not life insurance. And we have to move away from that as a culture, right? As a community, we have to move away from that. And it requires education and then taking action, right? So we can do better and we have to do better. And then, Lisa, the life insurance on your job, I commend you for having something. But what I'm talking about, because that's when death occurs. And I say when death occurs because we know one day we're all going to leave here. But here's things that I want you to consider, right? What happens if the job goes away, right? That $285,000 in life insurance most likely is going to go away from the job, right? And now what I'm talking about is how to powerfully leverage life insurance while you have life. That $285,000 is great for your child. Yes, it's a blessing, right? If death were to occur, you're still at the job and the life insurance is in force, right? But what I'm talking about, Lisa, is how you can powerfully design a life insurance where you can use it today. Use it to create a tax-free retirement stream of income, right? I touched on, the 401k and people, overfunding a 401k. Tip there. I'm kind of jumping all over the place, right?
Look, but it's good. And I want you guys to hear, she said tax free. So what she's teaching you, those of you that will, and I will tell you later how you can have a conversation with her, only if you're serious. Listen, she's talking about making your money work for you without you having to pay for it to work for you. And I need you to get this. Because most of those things that people will tell you, especially at your job, is that you still have to pay taxes on it. Unless it's a 401k, which means you can't touch it. She's telling you how this money will work for you without you even having to touch that. Does that make sense? And tell me if I'm wrong, Chereace. This is what I'm hearing.
Well,
If you take money out of that, then you pay taxes on it. What she's telling you is how to then take money from something like a 401k that you can pay things and use it for things, right?
Right.
Exactly.
You don't have to pay taxes on it when you get access to that money, because what if you are, you started your job in your 20s and you have an emergency. You started your 401k then, but you have an emergency in your 30s or your 40s and you need the money, but you're not 59 and a half, right? So the government says, okay, you can get the money that's in your 401k, but we're going to tax you and you have to pay a penalty because you're not 59 and a half. Okay, just like I like my money to be multi-purpose, I like to get access to my money when I need my money. It's called liquidity, access, and control, right? And so you want to look at, putting your money in places where you have liquidity, you have use, and you have control over your money, because we don't know what the future holds. And when I talk about leveraging life insurance while you have life, they be your own bank, and building the cash value is powerful. But let's talk about if death doesn't occur, but you have a critical injury or a terminal illness and you're unable to work. Imagine that death benefit can now be leveraged for you to pay for medical expenses, to pay your bills, right? To cover whatever you need if you're sick and you're unable to work and you have a qualifying condition, right? That's leveraging your life insurance while you have life. And so those are the things that I want to educate people on and empower them to just be aware of, because when you know better, you can begin to do better.
So good. And listen, here's what Stan says. The bottom line is we will either leave a bill or we will leave benefits. And here's what I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to step on some toes, and some of y'all are going to get offended. This is what our white counterparts do so well. And because we came here, and that's a whole, I'm not going to get into the slavery conversation, but there's things that we don't know, that we haven't been able to carry generation after generation, that we're getting now. So don't stay in a place of what you already know, what you're already doing, and maybe you have that good paycheck your mother always wanted you to get, or you've gotten the career you've always aspired to, but there's so much more available to you. And that's what Chereace, listen, you heard her say, she learned about it, she started doing it, she started seeing how it worked in her life and in her career and with her kids and everything. And then she said, wait a minute, let me get certified, because I can teach people this, because this is what we've been overlooking. Here's a question that Monica asked. How can I create a financial growth account for my long-term savings?
Right. So long-term savings. So we can talk about options and strategies. It depends on where it was, right? And what the goals you have for that money is. Because again, when you're creating your financial portfolio, you want to begin with the end in mind, right? And so we can have a conversation to look at, is it in a tax deferred account or not, right? Because clearly there are more options if you're under 59 and a half for using that money, right? And creating a long-term financial growth plan.
So here's what I heard her say. It's not a cookie cutter. So many people will put you in a box and say, you're supposed to do it just like this. It's not a cookie cutter. It's about you and your long-term goals and where you are and where you want to go. So anybody, and I'm saying this out of love, see, Chereace is being nice, I'm going to say it. She can't just give you an answer. You got to literally talk to her, not because she's trying to sell you. Listen, when I bring people on here, none of my people sell, we serve. So in order for her to serve you right and not give you some answer that's not going to benefit you, you've got to at least have a conversation. I'll share with you how you can do that with her in a minute. Let me put one more question. And I want to thank you guys for asking questions. And I hope you're getting value. Beverly says, what if you have medical problems and insurance company will not insure you? That's a good question.
Yeah, no. That's unfortunate. I have a 10-year-old client that has diabetes, and he's uninsurable because the diabetes is so young, right? And so if there are medical conditions, it's not to say you're completely uninsurable, because every company is different in terms of underwriting. Every situation is different. And so I've had clients where one company has said no, but the other company has said yes. And so I would say if the desire is to get that life insurance, let's have a conversation to see if we can find a company that can provide a solution to you. But also, let me say this. This is another reason why I firmly believe on insuring our children when they're young enough and they're healthy enough. My kids have $1 million policies, and people are like, why am I going to get $1 million on a kid? Okay, first of all, you can leverage that life insurance while you have life, right? Because you're building up cash within the policy. Be your own bank inside of your life insurance policy. But then we don't know what the future holds in terms of our health. And so we don't want to run the risk of having an uninsurable condition, because like Nicole experienced with her dad, I experienced with a loved one. We see it all the time in our communities where a loved one passes and they don't have life insurance. And now the burden is on the family to cover those expenses. And you're talking $16,000 plus for burial. And that's why the GoFundMe's are coming out there. But we got to do better. And we can do better.
And just imagine, instead of leaving a burden, we left a legacy. Instead of leaving a burden, we left an inheritance. Instead of leaving a burden, we left money. I'm talking about a whole lot of money that you can then move and continue to move your family's legacy forward. So with that, listen, Chereace can talk about this for the next 5 hours, and some of y'all need this, but let me say this. Chereace is going to talk to you about who is a good match. And here's what I want you guys to be committed to. When someone offers you a free call, just because it's free doesn't mean you need it. I need you to be able to implement and activate whatever she's getting ready to offer to you in this free call, because why would you waste 20, 30 minutes of her valuable time if you're going to do nothing with what she teaches you? So don't be somebody that just talks about it. I need you to be about it. So if you're ready to be about it, Chereace, tell them how to be about it.
I'm listening to Nicole like, okay, let me get myself together, because she make a valid point, right? Get the information, and get the knowledge. But knowledge without action is not power. You have to put it into play, right? And that's what I did. That's how I ended up here 10 years later, because I took the new information and I applied it. And that's when it becomes powerful. So on my website, there is a place where you can go and schedule a 15-minute call. It's a discovery call for me to get to know you, you get to know me, and then for me to understand like what your goals are, what your challenges are, where you are right now, where you're looking to go. And then from there, if it makes sense, if it's a good fit for both of us, then we can schedule a longer call to go into depth on some strategies. So the call is free, 15 minutes of your time. If you're serious about getting some information that could change your life, then please go to the website.
So good. And you guys can see the passion. You can see she is very well versed in it, because she didn't know what y'all are going to ask, and she can answer any question. The thing that I also love about you, Chereace, is that you don't fake the funk. So what I mean by that is some people will act like they know stuff, and what she doesn't do is she will not serve you from what she doesn't know. But she will pour so much into you from living it, then learning it. Because there's a difference between just learning it and never living it. She's lived it, realized how valuable it was to her and her family, was so passionate about it, started telling people they should tell people, and then she realized, wait a minute, let me just learn so I can do it myself. So Chereace, thank you for standing in the gap for us. You know, as you were talking about, both of us were talking about action, and her book is called Faith Focused Action, right? The Bible says faith without action is dead. And some of you guys have been praying about how to increase your money, and praying about it. Well, some of you, this is your answer. So now it's time to be about it. So those of you that are ready to get the insight and the strategy and want to hire an expert instead of you trying to Google it, because Google will only take you so far, then go to her website and schedule a call with Chereace. So thank you, Chereace, for standing in the gap for all of us as a Black people, that we all will learn how to take our money and work for us. You could have easily been selfish, because I know you and Stan are doing well, right? But you wanted to give back. And so I just want to say thank you for all you are and for all you do. I appreciate you, girl.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. So with that said, y'all, that's this episode of Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. Oh my God, I have pages full of notes. I hope you do too. So number one, here's my call out for you, my call to action. You see, I still have her consultation on the screen. ChereaceRichards.com is where you go to set up that free consultation if you're really ready to get the tools you need to make your money work for you. The other thing I want to make sure you do is every week, I ask you to share the value you got out of our conversation. And I ask you to do that because I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. And I want to make sure you're getting value as we host these episodes every week. So post below the value you got out of today. And then also, as you got value, I want to ask you to share it. There are people in your network, in your community. Listen, there are Black folks everywhere that need to know this insight. The only way they learn about it is if we share it. So don't be selfish and keep this insight to yourself. Listen, I'm writing notes. And when I saw Chereace starting to share as well, I said, girl, I need to have you on this segment. So please click below, share. Even if you're watching the replay, share the value. So again, thank you for being here for this episode of Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. You know, my goal in hosting these segments is to stand in the gap so that you live as the highest and best version of who God created you to be. So I would be remiss if I didn't take this moment to say this. If you are not living in your purpose, if you're not clear on what your purpose is, if you haven't started to develop a purpose-focused business or career, those of you that don't know, I am hosting a free 3-day masterclass starting next Tuesday called Purpose to Profit. Where you register is Purpose Profit. I start getting excited. Purpose Profit. PurposeProfitMasterclass.com is free. Again, 3 days of me pouring into you all you need to get clear and uncover your purpose, to identify the platform it is meant to exist in. Listen, if God created a garden for Adam to exist in, this is Genesis 2:15, and do the work to contain it and keep it, God has the same mission for you. And then how do you multiply your profit? Now, I'm not going to tell you the juice that Chereace tells you, but I'm going to make sure you have the money so you can hire somebody named Chereace that can help you. All right. So with that said, I look forward to pouring into you next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Each night I'm live with you, 8 p.m. EST. In addition to that, I'll also be back here next Thursday for another segment of Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. Again, it's always my honor and privilege to be here to share the space with you, to pour everything I can, and I bring phenomenal Black guests in to show you what Black excellence looks like, to show you what it looks like when you live as the highest and best version of who you're created to be, when you don't settle for who you already are, when you go after who you have not yet become. Have a phenomenal rest of this week. I'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.